Welcome to the Forum on Midwest Sportsnet. I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad to get to be with you all tonight. We have a great panel here on this edition of the Forum. We're going to be talking about NAIA football, and our kickoff question is this, gentlemen. We'll go around the horn and again in clockwise order. So here's the kickoff question tonight: who deserves to be the number one team in the country in NAIA going into the 2022 season? Lightning round, Vince.
Oh boy, Grandview.
Adam,
they're the little engine and they're on the doorstep. They knock on the door every single year, and coaching staff been in place for years and years and years, and they continue to draw top talent. It's just a matter of time before getting back to the top of the mountain. And like I said, they're constantly knocking, and I think this year is the year.
Grandview 1-2 all time in the 1-1 all time in the championship game after last year's loss. So Vince says Grandview. Adam,
you know how you used to take tests and they used to say the easiest answer was filling in your name.
yes.
I found an easier answer. The answer is Morningside. It's Morningside.
All right, easier than knowing your own name. Cory,
easier than knowing your own name.
Look, when you bring back daggum near everybody on both sides of the football, and you won the national championship last year while doing it, it's really hard to pick against you to lead off the season. I got to go with Morningside. I mean, I can't pick against Joe Dolanchek. Just the man's just too good.
Nope.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say Morningside, and we'll find out here in just a moment if that answer is right, because we do. We'll let you know. Stick around. We'll watch this here on the Forum. We're talking NAIA football, and we have some great guests tonight. Vince from the Varsity Sports Show. He is in Arizona. Adam from the SAGU Sports Network coming to us from Texas. And Cory, NAIAFBALL, representing the great state of Florida. I'm Joey, and I'm right here in Oklahoma, too. So we thought we might have all four time zones in the contiguous United States covered tonight. We'll try to get that on a future edition of the Forum. In the meantime, here is what we're talking about first. We're looking at the preseason, and of course, all you have are preseason rankings. We don't know what's going to happen. Everyone is 0-0 until about a little less than 2 weeks from now. Week 0 coming up. There is NAIA football on the way, and it is less than 2 weeks away. So we'll talk about then the conferences in particular, and we want to go through and see, do you agree or disagree with who was picked to win each representative conference? Of course, the winners will move on to the playoffs, and we can talk about that a little bit more as we go on. The Sun Conference. We will start with Cory. Cory, because you're right there. I know that you're familiar with some of the teams in particular there. Sun Conference. Kaiser was picked to win the Sun Conference this year. By the way, Sun Conference sponsoring football for the first time, I believe, since 2016, because the Sun Conference was in the Sun Division of the Mid-South Conference last year. So it's its own sponsorship in league play. Kaiser picked to win the league. Cory, agree or disagree?
I agree with that. Kaiser's bringing back a whole lot of folks. Up front, you've got 2 all-conference offensive linemen coming back. You're bringing back Jonathan Mosley, who was the best out of Kaiser's 3 quarterbacks last year, along with Marcus Burgess, who was almost a 2,000-yard rusher last season. 3 all-conference defensive backs. They've got it going on just across the team. They're not going to get off to the same slow start that they did last season.
Vince, agree or disagree?
Are there any other teams in the Sun? I mean, I'm looking up and down the top 25 in my own preseason top 25, and Kaiser is it. Finishing 9-3 last year, and the clear-cut championship. Might as well give him the trophy now.
Adam?
Wow. I would be remiss if I did not at least give a shout out to my executive producer, John Cookman's alma mater in Southeastern. But yeah, it's Kaiser. It's Kaiser. Southeastern's right there, maybe in a few years, but as of right now, 2022, come into the season, it's Kaiser.
You know, Southeastern, and by the way, good program there too. Looking for a new coach. That's interesting along the way. So that I think may keep them in a second place position. I don't think it's quite as distant as Vince has it, as he's already given away the postseason award there. But still, Southeastern's pretty close. I think Burgess is that much of a presence. I really do. I think he's going to be tough for anyone to stop. I mean, he was such a big part of that ground attack last year, and I think he makes a difference this year. So I'm going to agree. So across the board, we seem to agree on that one. Then let's go to another conference that was part of the Big South last year, but just a division last year, the Appalachian Conference. The team picked to win there, Reinhardt, but just a point better than Bluefield in the preseason rankings. There had 5 first-place votes. Bluefield got just the 1. And Cory, will stay there since it's your part of the country there. Reinhardt, top team in the Appalachian. Agree or disagree?
I'd like to know how on God's green earth Reinhardt only gets that by a point, because it's Reinhardt.
Exactly.
It's Reinhardt in the field. Bluefield was 1-6 last year, and while they did have the number 1 offense in the division and do return their quarterback, Reinhardt just has so much coming back. The only real huge piece that you lose is Billy Hall. And yes, that's a big piece, but you've got a lot coming back with your kind of flex bone spread option look for Reinhardt with Devin Collins and Dylan Kelly. And you return the number 1 defense in the AAC. And that's a big deal for a team that is very blue collar, run the football, play good defense. Reinhardt runs away with it without Faulkner to hem them in.
All right, Vince?
I'm going to agree with Cory on that one because, again, it's Reinhardt and then everyone else in the conference, and particularly after the success on last season and in the past few seasons for that matter, they're my favorite in the Appalachian.
Go ahead, Adam.
When they say it's Reinhardt in the field, I think it's even that is a little bit of an understatement. You look at just even the top 25 poll, Reinhardt's the only team from the Appalachian that even sniffs it. There's not a team receiving votes, I don't believe so, in the top 25 or in that top 30 area. So it's easily Reinhardt's and the field, and that's even putting it lightly.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you. It's Reinhardt, so that's probably a proper pick. 2 things about it that catch my attention. One, Bluefield did end the season well, and I don't think that they're going to be. I don't think they're as far behind as maybe what it appears. The other thing is this: Reinhardt got 5 first-place votes. Bluefield got 1. Okay, but Reinhardt was only 1 point better, so somebody voted Reinhardt way down the list. To make it that close in the preseason rankings. So I don't understand.
Probably somebody for Bluefield.
That could be.
You know there's some shady dealings going on in these preseason polls, Joey. Come on.
There are a few, and we'll get to one in just a moment too, because there's one of them that's so obvious it's crazy. But okay, so we are in agreement, although I think Bluefield may be a little bit closer, but we'll see. All right, Mid-South Conference does not have a preseason ranking listed on their conference website. Now, you can talk about teams that should be at the top. So this one, I'm going to give you guys a chance to tell me who you think should be at the top. Number 4 in the country in the preseason poll, Lindsey Wilson. 12-1 last year, lost to Grandview in the national semifinal by 6 points. Number 15 in the country, Georgetown, 8-2 last year, 5-2 in conference. Number 24, Faulkner, 8-2, 5-1 in conference play. Cory, let me stick with you just because I know that's your part of the country again. So who of those should be at the top?
Man, this one's so hard because there was so much coaching turnover in the Mid-South. It's hard to know who's going to be able to catch on quickly. Lindsey Wilson loses the only coach they've ever known for the entirety of their program. Chris Oliver goes to Georgetown. You lose a generational talent in Cam Dukes. You basically lose the soul of the team with Dukes, Boyd, Darius Clark, Josh Lewis, Luke Bowman. Bethel brings back a lot, but they're losing their signal caller. Georgetown's losing their signal caller. Man, you go down the list and you go, could maybe Cumberland's put something together? Honestly, I think Georgetown will catch on the quickest out of the ones that changed head coaches. I think that's fertile recruiting grounds right there outside of Lexington. You're going to get the guy you want if you're Chris Oliver, and you're going to be able to make waves really fast.
All right, Vince?
Well, we've got more parity finally in a conference here with those three teams that you mentioned. Now, I think that preseason pick for Lindsey Wilson being that high, a lot of it is off of the heels of last season's postseason finish at 12-1. So, whoever escapes the regular season here between these three teams as the conference champion is really going to struggle in the first round of the NAIA playoffs, because I think they're going to end up pretty beat up from facing each other. So I do have to go with the known commodity in Lindsey Wilson, but it's not going to be as wide open a field as the preseason top 25 indicates.
Adam.
I agree. I'm going to go Lindsey Williams by a very slim margin, and I'll tell you what that slim margin is. That slim margin is the home field advantage that Lindsey Wilson has throughout the regular season. Both Lindsey Wilson and Georgetown play Faulkner and Bethel. Faulkner in the top 25, Bethel receiving votes. They both play them at home. It's just at the end of the year, that last game of the season, that could be the de facto championship game for this conference. Lindsey Wilson hosts Georgetown. So I think that is what gives the edge to Lindsey Wilson. But again, I think it's a slim margin purely based on who gets to play who at home throughout the season.
I'm glad you guys brought up Bethel, because I think Bethel brings back some key members to their team, and I think that they may surprise a team or two along the way. I don't know if it's enough to get all the way to the top of the standings in the conference, which again is a much smaller conference down to just 8 teams. But I think that I think Bethel could surprise some people. Does coaching make that much of a difference? And that is really and apparently the folks at Georgetown believe it does, because Georgetown's good, but that maybe that last key is bringing in tried and true and the solid coach. So I think Georgetown could leap into that top spot, because I do believe in strong coaching, and I think it does make a difference there. So I think it could be there. So my vote, I guess, did I just vote for Oliver there at that point? Did I pick Chris Oliver as the preseason favorite?
Sounds like you're running for political office, Joey. Wow.
Today is not that day. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Today is not that day. The mid-states, and again, pick one of these two guys. Midwest, St. Xavier, 8-3 last year, 6-1, tied with St. Francis in the top spot in its league, or its division, I guess, of the Mid-States Football Association. St. Xavier gets the top spot this year in the preseason poll. And then Concordia, CUAA, Concordia and Ann Arbor, tied last year with Marion. They get just a little bit more in the preseason ranking. So I'll let you take from those, and we'll start with you on this one, Vince. Pick one and tell us why.
Oh boy. Well, this is tough, because like you said, and I think the eastern side of this conference is faring a little more competitive than the West, but I'm going to have to say Marion on this one by the slimmest of margins. They're just perennially, again, the tougher of the teams, although Concordia is right there neck and neck. This one is going to be a photo finish.
All right, Adam.
I agree, actually, with Marion. You look at the top 25 poll speaks a lot to me, and you look at the gap between 5 and 6 between Marion and Concordia. It's about 30 some odd votes, of just about 30 votes between 5 and 6, and there's not a gap that wide in that top 25 until you start to get well down the list outside the top 10. So I think that the voters see who the cream of the crop is, and it's just that top 5, and then number 6 is on the outside looking in. So I'm going Marion as well.
All right. Now we're talking Mid-East here. So you want to keep Mid-East, or you want to talk Midwest? Which one you want, Corey?
Oh man. So I'll bring up this one point. Marion brings back, I think, 7 of their 8 top offensive linemen from a year ago. And for a team that likes to pound the rock again and again and again, that is a clear indication to me that Marion should do very well. On the Midwest side, I'm going to go with the new kids on the block. St. Francis of Illinois. We're so used to seeing St. Francis of Indiana up in the top 10, but I think St. Francis of Illinois will be there before the season gets out. Sam Tumulty at quarterback, if he can improve a little bit of his decision-making, cut down on the interceptions, increase the touchdowns, that dual threat is going to cause trouble for almost any team that they're going to face.
You talk about the ground game, and I do coverage of D2 from where I am as well. And one of the teams that I see with some frequency is Harding on the Division II level. It's a ground game that's just almost unstoppable. I mean, it really is. It's tough. And when you talk about Marion's ground game and you bring back what Cory said, I mean, that's one of the points I think about too. You bring back those offensive linemen, that's going to be tough. I'm going to take the Adams point from a while ago, and let's talk about home field advantage. When the two teams play, and I'm talking Mid-East right now, Concordia, Ann Arbor, and Marion, that's going to be a home game for Concordia. So if it came down to it, and that one game is the deciding factor, I think Concordia has the edge there. But overall, I agree with you guys. I think Marion, I think they should get that top spot. And I'm going to go ahead and say St. Xavier. But in the Midwest, don't overlook Olivet Nazarene. Just dropping that out there. I think that the Tigers are somebody to be watching for again this year. We need to go on though as we look at the Heart of America Conference, 2 divisions there as well. And I will give you an opportunity to talk about both of these, gentlemen, if you want to. Vince, we'll start with. Actually, I tell you what, Adam, let's start with you on this one. Heart of America Conference, North Division. Grandview was picked at the top. What do you think? Agree or disagree?
I agree. You talk about the staples of your top-ranked teams year in and year out. You got your Morningsides, you got your Lindsey Wilsons, and you got your Grandviews. And I know that Vince picked them, or does not agree with them being the number 2 overall team in the nation, but they are a mainstay. They are the cream of the crop, the guys to beat. To be the man, you got to beat the man, and that is Grandview in that division.
Cory?
I agree with Grandview. The problem for Grandview is replacing defensive pieces. You're losing David Tolentino, Cole Rollinger, Drew Buffelli, and Nate Whelan, and Cam Maxfield, all-conference players, first-team all-conference players at every level. If you're going to be the hard-hitting team that you were last year defensively, you're going to have to be next man up, and that's going to be really big. Also, can Johnny Sullivan take the next step? We've seen him be a game manager throughout his time there, really showed off that arm against Lindsey Wilson in the semifinals last year. Can we see more of that Johnny Sullivan in Grandview's offense this year?
Vince, your number 1 team in the country, are they number 1 in their own conference?
Oh my gosh. So they have the number 1 returning quarterback in NAIA and Johnny Sullivan. They're pretty stocked at the skill position on offense. Gerald Sama, wide receiver, Ali Scott, running back. Defensively, while they did lose a few pieces, they still have a few coming back in Kaim Mosley on the defensive line, as well as Rocky Schoenfelder, and then a pretty top linebacker in Nate Ewell. So I think, in speaking to some folks close to the program, they like that preseason pick at number 2 because it takes a little bit of pressure off of them and puts it squarely on the shoulders of the returning champs. But they're going to – I want to say they're going to sneak up, but when they've got the players that they have at those key positions coming back, they may not be sneaking up on anybody.
No, I can't imagine Grandview sneaking up on anybody. I just can't. But, you talk about Sullivan, and Midwest Sports Net had some videos a few weeks back, and we had Ali Scott as one of the top 5 returning running backs, did not have Sullivan as one of the top 5 returning quarterbacks, and I think that made some Vikings fans unhappy, so sorry about that. I do think, however, they should be at the top of the Heart North. The Heart South has Baker, perennial favorite down there, and Adam, that sound right? Agree or disagree?
I agree with Baker. They had the second highest scoring offense in the nation last season. Now, they do lose their leading rusher and their leading passer. Both were seniors last year, so they could be leaning on some freshman play this upcoming season. So that could kind of eat into the momentum that they had. The benefit that they have, and I know it's a cross division rival, but they do play Grandview at home this year. So they do have that to their advantage. Not sure how much that closes the gap between Grandview and Baker, but they have that going for them. Lot of uncertainty going in this season.
The good news is that game won't count against their divisional record. So
exactly.
they can still win that with that South, even if they
but it could open up a lot of eyes if they pull off an upset win at home.
Corey.
Let me tell you from experience, when Viking fans don't like your opinion, they will let you know about it.
They did.
That's okay.
Good folks over there. Love them to death. I'm going to take Baker. I mean, you've got 2 all-conference offensive linemen and 2 all-conference defensive linemen. Shane Scorlo, Marcus Johnson, 3 all-conference linebackers coming back, and an all-conference defensive back coming back for Baker. Look, if you can find a running back that can do 2/3 of what J.D. Woods did as the all-time NAIA leading rusher, you're going to allow your quarterback, whoever that's going to be, some time to develop with that kind of defense. I think Baker is going to be the team, but watch out for Benedictine. They could make life interesting.
Vince, what do you think?
Well, yes, and agreeing with the other 2 esteemed gentlemen, Baker it is, but don't count out Central Methodist also. And, off the heels of their 9-3 season last year, coming in at number 18 in the preseason poll, just a couple spots behind Baker, you never know.
I think, and I think the Eagles really benefited, at least they turned some heads winning the South Division last year, taking that away from Baker, going 5-0 in the division. And I think that puts them in a place where they're getting some preseason nod right now. I don't know how you can't. You just can't replace a J.D. Woods. And because of the COVID year and just different things here and there, I mean, he set records that probably will never, ever be broken in that Wildcat record book. So he's going to be tough to replace, but Baker finds a way to do it year in and year out. And before I go on, I just want to say to Vikings fans, since we're still there, I'm a huge Nick Mitchell fan. I mean, we've done Midwest Sports Net, we've done Evan Hansen stories, and we've talked about the wrestling program over and again. We like Grandview volleyball. We do like Grandview football too. So didn't mean to make anyone mad, but yes. And we like Johnny Sullivan too. No, I agree. I think Baker is and should be at the top spot there. All right, we're at the midpoint of going through these conferences, so we'll find out really quickly then what was the right answer on the kickoff question. 3 of the 4 of us had the right answer on the kickoff question. Morningside should, in fact, be the number 1 team in the country going in, and we'll just let Vince think about that. We'll just let him sit and think about what he's done there. I don't know. Nope, nobody's kicked off the panel yet. We just wanted you to know what the right answer was. I'm just kidding, Vince. I love that. I have always been of the idea that you're number 1 until you're not. And when you return, and in this situation, and sometimes that's probably wrong, but in this situation, when they return everyone, it's either here or there. All right, let's move back to the conference races here. KCAC. A conference that seems to get better almost as we speak. I mean, this is a conference that's just getting better and better over the last few years. There were 3 teams that tied for the top last year, each with a 9-1 record. Southwestern is the top pick in the coaches poll this year. Kansas Wesleyan, the top pick in the media poll. Bethel, by the way, has a new coach in J.D. Stokes, was picked 3rd in one poll, 4th in another. Avila switched places there. So there's a lot. I don't think anybody in the conference right now knows who should be at the top, but let's go ahead and take, since most everyone else here, these were all coaches polls. Let's go with coaches poll. And Vince, the coaches poll has Southwestern at the top. Agree or disagree?
Hold on a second. So you're saying people don't know, where the teams are going to end up because it is such a logjam, and then you come to me asking me my opinion.
Yeah, it was. I teed it right up there, man.
I look at the top 25. I look at this coaches poll, and I see this logjam, and I'm relying on the coaches poll here, and the team to beat is the one that finished number 8 last year. They're a preseason number 8 now. It's, in my opinion, it's Southwestern. Again, they could beat each other up throughout the season, and we kind of see what happens when all the chips fall at the end. But right now, it's Southwestern.
All right, Southwestern again. It was split. And it's KCAC, by the way, has a coaches poll and a media poll. I've had an opportunity to go to KCAC Football Media Day more than once. It's a fun event. It's always a good time up there in Wichita. And we're going with coaches. So, Adam, what do you think?
I am going to disagree with my guy Vince. I'm going to go with Kansas Wesleyan. A lot of what I predict has to do with who the mainstays are, and until they prove me different, I have no reason to pick against them. And that's what I'm going with Kansas Wesleyan. And I believe Cory, when we had talked last season, when you came on for SAGU broadcast, did the KCAC not say, and I could be wrong, I could be misremembering, I'm getting up there. Did they not say that they were the best conference in the entire NAIA, or is that a different conference? I'm pretty sure that was a KCAC.
Everyone says they're the best conference.
Like that was a league memo.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Did that come down from the league?
I just know that we had talked about it. They were boasting, this is us, we are them type of thing last season. I thought it was the KCAC, and now I'm looking at it, and are they? I think the conference itself might be talking a little bit more than what they can back up. But in this circumstance, I'm going with Kansas Wesleyan.
Okay. All right. Well, Cory, do you know anything? Was that a league memo that I missed? It came down straight from the conference.
It might have been Tim. It might have been Tim Roberts just making some stuff up.
Okay,
it might have been. It might have been.
He's not here to defend himself right now, so that's.
I know, that's why it's fun.
I'll go ahead and break the at least temporary tie. I'm going to have to go with Southwestern in a league where there were just coaching changes out the wazoo. Southwestern keeps their coach. They bring back 2 quarterbacks, actually 3 quarterbacks who are more than capable of leading a ball club. And they bring back 2 wide receivers that combined for over 20 touchdowns and almost 2,000 yards, along with a running back that had 7 touchdowns of his own. Right now, Southwestern's got it because they've got a little bit of the continuity, but it will not be long until Kansas Wesleyan is right back where they believe they belong. Right now, they're just going to have to deal with who do we have under center, replacing Isaiah Randall.
All right, you talk about a league with lots of coaching changes. I think Bethany had a coaching change maybe today. I'm not sure. I think it actually was today that they have an interim coach now, and so that now Bethany's not factoring in, but it's the coaches that I want to get to, and it's why I'm going to go with Southwestern, and I'm going to agree with the top of the poll there because the consistency factor is there. You have 3 teams that are very good. Kansas Wesleyan, it's not like they're dropping off. Coach Myers is going to do a great job, but Coach Hendrickson has left for a different scenario, so he's moved on from Kansas Wesleyan. Coach Terry Harrison at Bethel, he's moved down to Friends, and I'll address that in just a moment. Coach Stokes is coming in, part of the program. I mean, there's not a lot of change, but maybe just enough there. And you think about Coach Brad Griffin, and still at Southwestern, still with all the people, as Cory were talking about, that are coming back. I'm going to agree with the coaches. I'm going to disagree with the media, even though I are one. I'm going to disagree with the media, agree with the coaches. Southwestern should be up there. And one thing I think is interesting, by the way, you want to talk about a difference a coach makes? Friends won 1 game last year. There are 11 teams in the KCAC. Friends in both polls was picked 7th. Terry Harrison moved from Bethel down to Friends, and the coaches recognize that a coach or a coaching staff might make some difference there. I don't think it's going to be long, folks, till we talk about Friends in the conversation too. But right now it's Southwestern. So let's move on then, and I think change sheets here. North Star. How about this one? North Star. We get up away from where most of us are geographically, but we can talk about a program that's been consistent there for a while. Dickinson State picked to win again in the North Star. Dickinson State lost in the first round again last year, lost to Grandview, 38-13, but 8-3 overall. So let's go ahead and stick with you, Adam. Dickinson State, agree or disagree?
I agree with Dickinson State. I agree with that. I think that this is a conference that is up and coming, is not necessarily, ready to play with the big boys at the top of the nation. Rather, I think that they've got a lot of work to do to start to compete with some of those teams. But I do think that it is, to put it lightly, I think it's a one-horse race in this conference, and I do think that it's Dickinson State. I don't think it's particularly close.
Cory?
You made a point earlier that your number one should be number one from year to year. Dickinson has been just the hallmark of consistency there with, I don't even know how many consecutive North Star.
7.
7. Did I steal your point there, Joey?
No, that's all right. I'm just helping out, man.
Look, you win it 7 consecutive times. You're doing something right. They have no shortage of people that are coming back. The biggest question, again, is what are you going to do under center with Drew Bodecker leaving? Also with Tiger Fry leaving, who was a really nice piece for them over the last 4 years. But while Valley City and Waldorf are right there and are coming up, I don't see them challenging Dickinson this year or next.
All right, Vince.
Even in my part of the country, here in the Southwest, we hear about Dickinson State down here as being a consistent winner. And while they lost that first round last year, and that was against a giant of a team, I can't see anyone overtaking them in the conference.
Now, and to the point of the coaching again, Pete Stanton is an institution. He really is, and I believe this is his 10th year that he's there as the head coach, and I think it has to be, 24, 25 years, something like that in the program overall. He's been there for a long, long time. I don't think, by the way, you mentioned Tiger Fry. I don't think Tiger Fry got enough national recognition because I think that he was great on the offensive side, really did well for the Blue Hawks. I think Dickinson State should be up there. You mentioned Valley City State and Waldorf, both good programs. I don't know, though, that both of them beat Dickinson State in the same year this year. I think it would take both of them beating them, because I don't know, that would be tough for anyone else to get above them. They might lose to one. I don't think they lose to both. And so I agree with that when they should be at the top. Takes us to the GPAC, the Great Plains Athletic Conference, where picked at the top there is the defending national champion, Morningside. So we'll see if Vince picks Morningside in the conference then. That's all right. Vince, we'll go to you first. Morningside or Northwestern?
Okay, fine. You guys can tease me all you want, but yes, okay. In that race,
it's only because I would pick Morningside. Cool.
Thank you. But Northwestern Iowa, just a couple spots down in the preseason top 25. But yes, obviously 19 first place votes, defending national champions. Hard to beat that resume. So yeah, in the conference for sure. Morningside.
So to me, it's what more do you have to say about Morningside? 3 out of the 4 of us picked the correct answer in the top 25 in the preseason poll. And if we were to say anything less than it's unanimous in agreement for Morningside to be the preseason conference winner, I think that it's hypocritical. But don't let that deter you from Northwestern being the 3rd ranked team in the country. I talked about best conference in the nation before. In my opinion, this is the best conference in the nation. And I don't know if you can look at it at any other way when you have number 1 and number 3 in the nation.
I agree with that. Cory?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. If Northwestern was in any other conference, they'd be running away with it. The numbers for Morningside last year, I just look at them and they're eye-popping, especially in terms of yards per play. They had 7.93 yards per play offensively. Almost a first down every time you snap the ball. But no one gives their defense enough love. 4.14 yards per play given up, which is astoundingly good for a unit that never got talked about, which gives them a net that's almost 4 yards per play overall. You bring back Dolanchek. You bring back Zach Norton, Caleb Schweigert, Sione Tuifua, Jalen Portis on the defensive side, Lonell Boyd, Drew Bessie, and that defensive secondary, the real guys that you're going to have to figure out how to replace. and they're going to do it because it's Morningside. That's literally what they do. They had an all-world combo at wide receiver and quarterback before Dolanchek arrived, and they somehow managed to replace a generational talent with another generational talent. You're going to have to replace Sims and Juergensmeyer along with Tyler Wingert. My man Wingert had 151 tackles and 19 and a half tackles for loss, which, linebackers a little easier to replace sometimes, but not that kind of production it ain't.
No, I agree with you. And you mentioned, you talk about Dolanchek, you talk about Portis. Those are names coming back, and I think they're big names. I agree that the defense doesn't get as much recognition. We try every now and again. But last year, I actually had, and it was before I knew Cameron Dukes was coming back. Okay, so you have to give me that. But I would have had Northwestern at the top last year at number 1 coming into the season. And I think that highly of their program. And you talk about the Great Plains. Is it the best conference in the country? I think there's a lot that can be said for that. But it's not just Morningside and Northwestern. You don't have to look that far to see a Dordt program that is very, very good. You don't have to look that far to see a Concordia program that is very, very good. And if either Morningside or Northwestern have a day that's not their they don't bring their A game, either of those two teams is going to, take a good swipe at them. So yes, Morningside should be at the top of that conference. And I agree with a preseason coaches poll there, which takes us then to the next conference down the list. And a couple of people in our panel are well familiar with the Sooner Athletic Conference. And interesting. And I think, I may even have a graphic for that, but I'll start with Vince here. Vince, OUAZ 8-2 overall last year, 8-1 in conference play. And they are the top team in the conference preseason poll. Agree or disagree?
Well, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I was on the inside of that program for a few years and got to know the coaches, administration, fan base, and kids very well. I like them. And this is, Mike Nesbitt, the head coach that really has put his fingerprint on this program while he is losing a lot of key kids, including quarterback Austin McCullough, return specialist running back Shamar Moreland. He does have the cabinets aren't quite bare in that he's got some great kids coming back. He's got a defense led by a defensive lineman by the name of Seth Ham, David Sal, Brandon Tomerlin, a linebacker, Josh Gutierrez, Scott Bonham, Elijah Boyd, Velakis, offensive line. I mean, they're pretty well stacked at certain other key positions. The quarterback position is a bit uncertain at this time, but this is a team that they reminded me of an arena football team in that they could score 60, 70 points at any given time on a whim. You close your eyes and all of a sudden 4 touchdowns were just scored by this team. So I wouldn't count this team out. And once that quarterback position gets settled, you're going to see a show. And now that's not to say other teams within the conference. And Adam, I was joking with Adam before we went on air about SAGU, but you've got Jeff Bowen at Arizona Christian and a top quarterback in Tyler Duncan coming back, who's probably right now the top quarterback in the conference returning. So it'll be an interesting shakeout in the early part of the season to really set the tone the rest of the way. But to me, and sorry to take up all the time here, Ottawa is my number 1.
All right, that's all the time for this conference. And Adam, you're taking.
Well, you're asking me about all these schools in other parts of the country that I've never even set foot in. So anyway,
this was your chance to shine, Van.
There you go.
Go ahead.
All right.
I don't think it's as clear cut as Vince is maybe foreseeing it. I put a lot of weight on that quarterback position. Historically, it's been my biggest talking point in any matchup is the quarterback position. And OUAZ lost a good one in Austin McCullough. And Arizona Christian kept a good one in Tyler Duncan, like Vince said. I actually see Arizona Christian winning the conference. And then we have a talking point later in the program that I'm going to discuss about maybe a sleeper pick, but we'll get there when we get there. But I'm picking Arizona Christian to win the conference, but don't sleep on Texas Wesleyan because Texas Wesleyan just breeds winners in everything that they do. They, I watched Cory and Tim's show from a couple weeks ago. They are the defending ping pong national champions. Up the road from SAGU, just up 287, about 30, 40 minutes, you hit Fort Worth and you see Texas Wesleyan. They know how to win, and they are a program who just recently joined the Sooner Athletic Conference, and they are already being talked about. Their quarterback, Dalton Dale, very efficient quarterback, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. We'll see if he can turn into that quarterback that doesn't make a lot of mistakes and also lights you up. You win because of him and you don't lose because of him type of situation. But I'm picking Arizona Christian with Texas Wesleyan right there in second place.
Had to grab the pin for this one. Not so fast, my friend.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Can we say that? Are we going to get in trouble legally for that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Look, I've been watching the guys in Waxahachie for a few years now.
Whoa.
I've been watching the guys in Waxahachie for a few years now with a good defense and a good running game. And with a new head coach that I think is going to be able to quickly get that team bought in. Look, how many Alabama quarterbacks can you name that are any good whatsoever, but you know them because they handed off the ball good? It's going to be, you can have any decent quarterback in there at SAGU handing the ball off to Keaton Dudek, and you're going to be fine. You bring back a ton of players defensively, and you've got a guy who knows a thing or two about being good defensively in Greg Ellis, an all-pro Cowboy.
Corey, you realize he was 0-10 at Texas College last year.
Nick Saban would be 0-10 at Texas College.
I know, but I saw this because I was trying to do some research on Greg Ellis, and I saw that stat, and wow. That's,
I didn't expect Texas College to catch strays while we're talking about conference winners.
Any good in ping pong?
Wow,
man. All right. Well, I didn't know we'd get that far down the list on. So, by the way, are you picking SAGU? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we ended that.
Wow.
I'm picking SAGU to win.
Okay, so basically, you disagree with the coaches.
I do.
Okay,
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, Corey. It would make
They got the best players in the conference. I mean, my gosh, at each position,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. How do you mess that up?
Heisman voters last year were really high on the way Bryce Young handed off the ball. So
they just didn't want to see my guy Kenny Two Gloves succeed in the Heisman.
Okay, that could have been it. All right. Well, you know what? This is fun. So I'm going to go ahead and add to it. We have an OUAZ and an Arizona Christian and SAGU. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to disagree. Also, I'm going to go with the Texas Wesleyan fighting Dalton Dales, and say that Dalton Dale carries them. And I agree. It's a program that just has gotten better year by year, and they do things right there. They find a way to get things done. So I'm gonna take the Texas Wesleyan on that. I'm going to
Joey. Can I add really quick to that? So and then you can finish, obviously. But the key matchup is going to be that first game for Texas Wesleyan going out to Arizona Christian. If they escape with a win, it could be a different conference altogether. So. Yeah.
No, that is a huge big game. Let me show you something really quickly. We touched on this briefly. Okay, this is the Sooner Athletic Conference preseason coaches poll. So you see OUAZ up there at the top, 79. 3 teams right there, 2, 3, and 4, 67, 63, 60 in the voting. Southwestern Assemblies of God, who has the offensive player of the year, the defensive player of the year, the special teams player of the year, is picked 6th in the conference. And look, they've been voted 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, 8, and 9. How does that even happen? How can you be? I mean, how does that happen?
I'm not a Cowboys fan by any mean, but it's those voters who do not like the Dallas Cowboys and the hiring of Greg Ellis. That's what it's got to be.
Okay, it's all about the.
You don't know it's all about. You don't know it's all about the Cowboys. They've never told you that.
I think probably is. All right, last. I just think it's weird. I just think that the math there just doesn't work out. A first place vote and a last place vote, and everywhere almost in between. Frontier Conference, guys. Last year was a three-way tie at the top. This year, Montana Western, one of those teams that was at the top, is picked to take the conference this year. 8-4 last year, 7-3. Lost to Lindsey Wilson in the first round of the playoffs. And we'll just go ahead and go with you, Adam.
I actually am going to disagree with Montana Western. I think that Rocky Mountain College takes a step up this year. Call it a gut feeling, call it whatever you want. The team averaged, I think, just under 33 points a game last year, which is very good. Yeah, they put up some points. Now, there's teams that average 50 points a game, but we're not talking about them right now. We're talking about this conference, specifically in the Frontier. I like Rocky Mountain College. You can call it, like I said, you can call it a gut thing if you want. I think that they're going to take a big step up this year.
I think they were number 19, I believe, in the poll. Pretty sure. So, Cory.
Yep, 19. Yep.
I don't disagree with the fact that Rocky Mountain should take a big step forward, but honestly, if their defense takes a big step forward, they're going to step from the bottom of the conference to the middle of the conference. And my question is that going to be enough in a conference where defense is a calling card for your top teams? I'll say Carroll as a dark horse pick. I think Carroll can do some really good things, but I'm going to go with Montana Western as my pick there. You're bringing back John Jund. You're bringing back Reese Neville at tailback. You're bringing back enough pieces, and honestly, College of Idaho is losing enough good pieces to where it's going to make life a little bit easier for the Bulldogs.
Okay, so do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay.
Montana Western's winning this thing.
I'm sorry, Cory. Sometimes there are times I'm not. You have a lot of information. I love it. I really do. Vince?
Well, so I'm going to take a different crack this one and agree with Adam in Rocky Mountain, and not necessarily because of what they're doing on the field, but because of what they're doing on the field, off the field. I hear Rocky Mountain's name a lot in Arizona high school recruiting, and if kids are picking to leave the desert to go up there and they're making inroads in leaving their own region, meaning the school, to come down and recruit top talent, then they must be doing something right up there. And they're a name that I've heard the last couple of years. And it's too much of a logjam in the rankings that I think Rocky Mountain could end up being the number one this year in that conference.
By the way, Rocky Mountain tied for number 2 in the preseason poll there, along with Carroll, tied for number 2 in the preseason poll. Montana Western at the top. I'm going to agree with the coaches, though. I like Montana Western there, and I'll talk a little bit more about them in just a moment. But I think they can make some noise. So I'm going to save my comment on that and just say I agree with it. So we've been through there, mostly agreeing with what the coaches have said. Although I love the conversation, and guys, I appreciate what you bring to the table, especially and we can see where our neck of the woods is too, where we're close to some of these conferences, and we get to an opportunity to see some of these teams a little bit more often than not. And speaking of that, shameless self-promotion, Midwest Sports Saturday, I believe we are 95 to 98% sure we'll be in Waxahachie on September 24th. So that is a flagship show here on the YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed already, please do subscribe. We're going to talk about my guest channels here in just a moment. But first, I want to hear, let's talk about an impact player. Who's going to make a difference this year? Who is going to stand out? And let's go to you, Adam. Who's going to stand out? Who's an impact player for you?
The leading all-purpose yard getter last season, Keaton Dudek. I purposely didn't bring up his name when we were talking about the Student Athletic Conference because I wanted to talk about him here.
Have you seen him play?
Just a couple of games,
okay.
Yeah. The running back for SAGU led the entire state of Texas in terms of all levels of college football in rushing yards last year. That includes Bijan Robinson down here at UT. Now, granted, it's a little bit different competition, but hey, I'm going to hold on to that for all it's worth. But Keaton Dudek led the entire nation in all-purpose yards by a full game, because it was something like 230 yards. He led anyone else behind him. Now, he didn't have the most yards per game. That stat gets a little funky with a guy who only played 8 games versus one who played 12. So it is what it is. He is as dual threat as you can get coming out of the backfield. Cory said, how good is a quarterback? Do you remember how good they were at handing the ball off? These quarterbacks also have a very good safety blanket in him coming out of the backfield. Keaton Dudek is insane. Will almost certainly make the first man miss every time, whether it's in the open field, between the tackles, wherever he's out on the field, is an absolute weapon. He is the ultimate Swiss Army knife, can do it all. He's just so good, and he's so fun to watch. He's one of those players that you run out of things to say. And last season, when Tim Roberts, my co-partner there at the SAGU Sports Network, when we would do our pregame players to watch, he was a staple in every single one of those pregames. And like I said, you run out of things to say. He just kind of makes you speechless when you watch him play.
Looking forward to maybe getting that chance this year. Cory, somebody that stands out to you?
I mean, everyone is going to always go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Joe Dolanchek. I mean, 4,800 yards passing and 44 passing touchdowns. But I'm gonna go a little under the radar a little bit. Call Northwestern's quarterback Blake Fryer. Spend a half a year getting your reps in while Tyson Koima's hurt, and he quietly has a really good season. 24 touchdowns through the air, only 5 picks, almost a 65% completion percentage for Fryer. The keys to the Northwestern offense are now his, and he returns a ton of wide receiver talent. Watch out for Blake Fryer this year.
I like that. I like that one. That's a good pick. And he goes a long way toward, I think, anything Northwestern does, and what a big keep when you have somebody go down like Koima and get to have Vince. Sorry.
Okay, so I have to ask you a favor, Joey, and I promise I'll take very little time. In fact, it'll probably be the same amount of time that the other two guys did on their picks. I'm going to ask if I can give 3 players because
Please.
I really want Adam. I want to be Adam's friend, and I have 2 quarterbacks, and I've got a running back. So first quarterback is Arizona Christian quarterback Tyler Duncan. Top quarterback rating, 188.9, coming back this year, top returning quarterback on this side of the country. He's very good, in my opinion. Running back, Marcellus Chester-Riley from OUAZ. As they get the quarterback situation squared away, they've got a good offensive line, good, tough offensive line. They'll open a lot of holes for this little running back. He's going to have an incredible season for them on the ground. And then lastly, the best quarterback on the best team in the country, Johnny Sullivan from Grandview.
I love it. It's absolutely, it's great. Okay, well, you know what? I've got.
What do you got for us in hour number 2, Joey?
I have. Yeah, stick around, folks. We'll be back. We'll take station identification here in a moment. We'll be back to hour number 2. I have two. And I'll tell them really quickly. And I think that they're teams that we could talk about later on, late in the season. But John Junn from Montana Western threw for more than 3,000 yards last year, 33 touchdowns, rushed for nearly 450 yards, and another 9 touchdowns. And if he stays healthy, he's key to me to why I think Montana Western should be the preseason number 1 pick in the Frontier. And, if they win, whoever they wind up playing is going to be an extremely tough draw in the first round. Last year, they had to travel to Lindsey Wilson, who was the number 1 team in the country at the time. And so that was a tough draw for them, but I think they could make some noise. But John Junn is there. And Jaquan Ebron from Bluefield, wide receiver from Bluefield, had more than 100, I think it was like 124, 125 yards, receiving yards per game last year, a ton of touchdowns. He is big for a Bluefield Rams team that I'll mention one more time in the program. He's also a track star. He's a high jumper for the team, and he is quite an athlete. So I think he is somebody who could have a big impact. And Nate Hurstich, who's the sophomore quarterback coming in, he'll be a sophomore this year for the Rams. He made some noise last year. People didn't know much about it. It's like Cory said, they start the season 1-5, and nobody's giving him, too much of the time of day or anything. He's quietly building up numbers, and when you've got a good quarterback like him, Ebron, I believe a fifth-year player, he He's going to be big. So those are my two players to watch. All right, then we wrap it up. Dark horse teams, and then we'll talk about you all individually. And I think we'll top an hour, but not by much. Vince, a dark horse team other than a preseason. Here's a dark horse team to make the playoffs, someone that was not listed as a preseason conference favorite. How about that? So dark horse team to make the playoffs.
Okay, dark horse team to make the playoffs, not listed as a preseason. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say College of Idaho, because they're ones that you give them an opportunity, and they're going to be there every single year.
All right, just one? Do you have any more? Just the College of Idaho. That's fine. I'm just
College of Idaho. Yeah, thank you.
No. I mean, that's legitimate. I have two. So I want to make sure you had it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll say College of Idaho, and again, in the Sooner Athletic Conference, Texas Wesleyan. They're picked to finish near the top of the conference, but not anywhere in the top 25 poll. So Texas Wesleyan.
All right, Adam.
I am gonna go with, they are a dark horse team because I think that the conference is a little bit overlooked in terms of its competitiveness across the board. I am going Arizona Christian. I think Tyler Duncan becomes the most efficient passer in the nation this year. He might not lead the nation in passing. He might not have the most yards, might not have the most touchdowns, but I think this is a guy that this season keeps his interceptions in single digits and has that touchdown to interception ratio be close to 3-1, I think, in terms of that. And he also is a threat on the ground too. So I think he becomes the most efficient quarterback in the nation and leads Arizona Christian to a deep playoff run. And just to get a couple of brownie points with my producer, don't sleep on Southeastern. You never know with those guys in the Sun Conference.
Well, I'm gonna stick in the Sun Conference for my dark horse pick, but it is not gonna be the Fire. It's gonna be the St. Thomas Bobcats, a fourth-year team out of Miami Gardens. They've been getting better and better every year. They are the epitome of administrative support. They've got their daggum university president dressing out in pads and going in practice. They bring back an absolute.
I remember that from a couple of years ago. I was wondering what happened to that guy. I thought maybe he got a concussion or something.
There's a reason you haven't heard about that in a while.
You never know, but they bring back a metric ton of players. They're a fourth-year squad, and this could be the year that Bill Reichel's team gets into the playoffs and makes that run, gets over the hump, and I very much think they'll beat Southeastern. Them and Kaiser is going to be a little bit more of a toss-up. Now, a deep cut team, maybe not make the playoffs, but watch it. Just watch them. Is going to be the Jamestown Jimmies out of the G-Pack. Keep an eye on the Pumpkinheads. They are give it a few years, and they are going to make the G-Pack one of the highest parity team conferences in the nation.
And since we've thrown some other sports out there, I'm a big fan of Jamestown volleyball. I think Coach Hegerly does a fantastic job with Jamestown volleyball. I have not watched their football quite as closely though, so I'm gonna be watching the Jimmies there. By the way, and for each for Vince and Adam, the Sooner Athletic Conference does not get the postseason looks that I personally believe, they ought to. But then again, I thought the KCAC should have had 3 teams last year in the playoffs. That didn't happen. And by the way, nobody ever asks me, just in case you're wondering. I don't get asked. But for each of those things to happen, I mean, if you have either an Arizona Christian or a Texas Wesleyan, I think they have to win the league. So that means if it's a dark horse team, that they're going to have to I don't think the Sooner – I'm just saying I don't think that the SAC gets 2 teams.
And not only do they have to win the league, they have to play literally the number 1 or number 2 team in the country as a 16 seed. So good luck.
Yeah, so that's going to be tough. I have 2 teams, and one of them I alluded to just a moment ago. I really don't believe Bluefields is far behind as what you guys think in the pack. It's an opinion, just like all of us, but I think the Rams, look, they're coming in on a 5-game winning streak. They have a fantastic quarterback in Herstich. They have a fantastic receiver in Ebron, and they've got some pieces in place on the defense as well. I think That could be a dark horse team. But again, they're going to have to win the Appalachian. I don't see them getting in as a number 2 team out of that conference. On the other hand, my other dark horse team is Indiana Wesleyan. Xander Stokes back at quarterback there. It's a team that didn't get to play last year, made the playoffs, but there was an ineligible player that, and they reported and they bowed out, stepped aside. Kansas Wesleyan got that playoff win by default. I think that Indiana Wesleyan could make another appearance, and they could just kind of slip in there from the Mid-States Football Association. So those are my 2 dark horse teams, Bluefield and Indiana Wesleyan. Guys, I want to tell you how cool it is to get to visit with you all again. I'm so thankful because I've missed getting to see you all and talk to you all, and so many of you have been. It's been a long time.
Credibility to your show, don't we, Joey?
You definitely do. Hey, listen, and Miss, my wife. She enjoys it when other people are on there. She gets tired of just watching me, so she's going to definitely happy that you guys bring some flavor to the program. Vince, tell us about your channel and what do you do?
Okay, so Varsity Sports Show. So we're a Saturday morning radio show on AM 1060 here in Arizona. Have a live stream link that's broadcast anywhere there's internet. We also do sports live streaming here in Arizona. We've got 6 high schools that we are the official broadcast team for, in addition to the Thursday night high school game of the week. Had over 100,000 views last year alone. This year we're doubling our crews and the number of games that we're going to carry. So we're expecting a significant spike in that, and also working on an additional venture called Streaming Entertainment Ventures that'll start streaming high school sports in 2023, serving as a consultant there, and that's going to be taking the nation by storm, fingers crossed, and in doing a lot of things with music and high school and college streaming of events. So look out for that coming next year.
Okay, that's fantastic. We'll definitely be following that, but we hope you still have some time for us over the course of the season too, because man, I've seen your schedule. You have so much going on. It is absolutely crazy what you do. So
I don't get to travel like you do, though, Joey. I think I need, a bigger, higher paying sponsors, because they put you on, you're in a Learjet every other week and going to all these exotic locations like
Waxahachie.
Yeah. Well, exotic.
And some of the far reaches of, the woods of Louisiana. I don't know. I mean, where you're at from week to week. It's amazing.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next time we're flying out on a Learjet, I will definitely reserve a seat for you when that happens.
Man.
That's a promise. Adam, talk about your channel, SAGU Sports Network.
I'm a little.
How do you even follow that?
I think Vince is the only person to exist to call Waxahachie exotic. I went to school there for 4 years, and the only thing they have going for them is they got like 13 different chicken places you can choose from in Waxahachie. Wow, I'm floored. My goodness. Anyway. Myself, alongside my broadcast partner, Tim Roberts, over at the SAGU Sports Network, we broadcast all of SAGU's home games. And last season, we were fortunate enough to be able to broadcast the NCCAA Victory Bowl that SAGU won. So just a nice little cap on that season for the Lions. Like I said, we're live every Saturday that there's a SAGU game in Waxahachie. I've been doing it for close to 8 years now. It's a blast. I love those guys. It's a very, very good program and a good broadcast that, believe it or not, is put on by all students. All the cameras, the graphics, pretty much everything you see except for my voice and Tim's voice is put on by students that are in the digital media program at SAGU. So they can be found at SAGU Sports Net on Twitter and YouTube. And then I believe it's SAGU Sports Network on Facebook, the full name.
Yeah, we are, and we are going to, again, it's not 100%, but it's in the high 90s that Midwest Sports Saturday will be broadcasting from Waxahachie, looking like September 24th. And by the way, I have seen the facilities down there. I mean, y'all are rocking. You have some great stuff going on in Waxahachie, and definitely, we don't want to undersell that at all. You all do a good job too.
And they're getting their own stadium. I don't believe it's this year. I think it's next year. It's being built right now. I think that it's able to be used for track and field currently, but I think in 2024 they're looking at, or I guess 2023 season, fall of 2023, they'll be looking at actual home football games on a non-high school field. So it's a really, really exciting time for SAGU.
That's cool. That is cool. But hey, listen, don't ever downplay Texas high school stadiums though.
How could you?
I did play-by-play for 2 years for Texas high school football, and it was amazing the difference just being across the river and seeing what goes on there. Cory, NAIAFBALL, man, you guys just grow all the time, and this season is going to be the biggest one yet, right?
Absolutely. If Waxahachie is exotic, then I will take. We'll be live on location in Valdosta, Georgia.
Hey, Titletown. Titletown.
Exactly. Kaiser's going to make the trip up to Valdosta. It's just around the corner for us, so we're going to go see them. Hopefully, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. But we are getting it on and getting ready for another great season over at NAIAFBALL. You can find us everywhere with that tag there, pushing for that elusive 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. Man, is that a fun one, Joey? You know that struggle. You know that struggle.
The struggle is real. The struggle is real. Vince is long past that though. He's got 1,000 in the rearview mirror. I have to tell you,
are we supposed to get like checks for that or something? Because I have yet to see a penny. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Midwest Sports Net did, by the way, cross the 1,000 subscriber mark a couple of months ago, and we're almost to 1,100. So if you're watching this, please subscribe because it really does help. Cory and John out in Florida doing a great job with NAIAFBALL, and I really appreciate them. Let me just say really quickly, it's a privilege. Midwest Sports Net, I will say look, I still have 3 kids in high school, okay? So I have grandkids now, but 3 of mine are still at home. And week 1 on a Thursday night, Midwest Sports Saturday always starts the season on a Thursday night, and this year Thursday night is in Durant. So because the kids are they have a home football game the next night, and so anyway, so we're doing that, starting the season in Durant Thursday, September 1st. We'll be in Wichita on Saturday, September 10th for the big matchup between Bethel and Friends, as that's going to be a cool one. It's the Terry Harrison Bowl. And so we're going to be there for that on Saturday, September 10th, 17th. Not sure yet, but we're looking at Waxahachie for September the 24th and looking to see what SAGU has to do and where will they fall. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. We don't know, but we do know that Adam and Tim will be there for the call. So I'm gonna wrap things up. Say thanks to Vince and to Adam and Cory for being a part. This is the debut of the forum of this particular format, but it will not be the last show. We're going to talk about more than just NAIA football, but it's been a blast to get to talk about NAIA football with these guys tonight. People that I consider to be friends, and I'm grateful to have on the program with me. So, guys, thank you very much. And you need to support their channels. Vince has already got 2,000 plus. Support him anyway. Yeah. Subscribe to his channel because, man, he doesn't sleep. The SAGU Sports Network, they are just off the charts and get thousands of views. And definitely, NAIAFBALL, get them across that 1,000 subscriber mark. I've done my part. You need to do yours as well. So keep it up. Subscribe to this one too. So for everybody here, thanks. Watch NAIA football. You will not be disappointed. It is a great, great sport. And I want to say thanks to all you guys. So God bless you all. Have a great night. And thanks for watching Midwest Sports Net.